Okay, next to this stage, please join me in welcoming some superstar firefighters. Chief Rick Hartzog, Lieutenant Sheryl Rodgers, and Chief Kevin Hardwick. Oftentimes when I'm out and working with different fire departments and collecting data, we get asked, how do we begin this in our fire department, and where do we start? And there's something called the FACE team, so you'll be learning a little bit about what FACE stands for, but these are the catalysts of how you can get started. So if you're listening to me online, or you're here in the room and say, okay, you're excited by everything you've learned these last 2 days, but where do I begin? Listen here very carefully. So we'll begin with Lieutenant Rodgers.
Thank you. Should I use that one or this one?
Oh, yeah, sorry, too many mics. That's you.
Can I hit the green button?
Yes, to advance your...
Okay, green arrow. First, I want to start off by thanking FCI for having us speak about this important topic. I also want to raise a very important point that I think is worth mentioning. I've been wearing this white shirt this entire day, and I ate lunch in it, and there's no evidence of any of that. So for me, that is a huge accomplishment. Thank you. Sam Eaton was supposed to be our moderator. He's a legend. He had a last-minute personal emergency this afternoon, so he had to bail, so I'm now the moderator. My husband would get a big kick out of that. So I just want to talk to you, and we're going to talk to you about starting a FACE team within your own department. I think it's a very important topic because while these symposiums are awesome to attend, and we definitely glean a lot of information, where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, is taking that information back to our departments and affecting change within our own departments. Because I think really that's why we all attend these conferences, and that's why we're here. FACE team is a good way to do that. It's not the only way to do it. I'm sure many of you have other ways that maybe you're doing it within your department, but I think it's effective. We use it in Jacksonville. We're one of probably, I think, a dozen or so now departments that do it. These two gentlemen that are with me here today have the FACE team in their departments as well. So these are the entities that are represented up here today. I'm with Jacksonville Fire Rescue. Sam, I'm going to represent him from Palm Beach County. We have Lakeland and Pasco County as well. So here's some credentials on Sam. Again, these are big shoes that I'm filling. I'm going to do my very best to fill his shoes today. But he was the co-founder and co-director of his Palm Beach County FACE team. He's also the co-founder and co-director of a state FACE team, which falls under the Firefighter Safety and Health Collaborative, which is represented at the table in the back of the room there. The state has a FACE team as well, so we at Jacksonville did the same thing, took that state model and brought it into our individual departments. So the state FACE team, I think it's important to point out, is not just state anymore, it's national. So many of you have probably been on those calls. They happen every month, and in fact, I'd like to, just for visual representation, if you've ever been on one of our state or national FACE team calls, would you please stand? I know there's only about 20 people left in the room, but thank you. So it's a huge participation. Normally we have numerous states on the call, and not only numerous states within our country, but other countries as well represented on these calls. So it's definitely growing. The momentum is there. We're seeing it in other states and other countries as well, so it's important. So the Palm Beach County the Palm Beach County FACE team was founded in 2014 by Sam and Vicki Shepard, who's now retired. And one thing that I think is important to note with what Sam did was he kind of handpicked some members of his FACE team, and he did so that they could represent certain entities within their department. And Jacksonville's done something similar, which I'll get into when I talk about ours, but the influences that he brought in from areas of the clinic that they have, the wellness initiative, training, operations, education, research, all that stuff. And so what he did was he created a model, and within that model falls under education, research, training. So that's why it was important for him to have those entities that were represented within his department's FACE team. So some things that Sam wanted to pass along that are very important for having your own FACE team in your department. The first thing you really need is a vision or a mission statement, okay? And ours is generic. It's profound, but it's generic. We're trying to prevent firefighter cancers by reducing or eliminating exposures to carcinogen, and increasing best practices and sharing best practices. So vision and mission statements are great, but I think more than anything, and I would go beyond this and say you need a reason, you need a why. Because there are going to be times, and trust me when I tell you this, there are going to be times within you're doing this that you're going to swear nothing's getting through and nobody's listening, and why am I wasting my time doing this? When you have a good reason or a why to fall back on, that's what's going to sustain you through those moments. Palm Beach County's why is sitting up here, and I know you've seen this. If you went to Sam's classes yesterday, you saw it. These are the list of names of the brothers and sisters that they've lost to cancer. And Sam's done a very good job of putting this together, and believe me when I tell you, he carries this with him everywhere he goes. I've traveled out of state with Sam in the collaborative. That goes everywhere he goes. And he makes it a point to bring that up at every discussion that he has. And the names are also on the helmet, which is always a beautiful display as well. So that's his reason and his why for his department face team. Our department face team is a little more personal. My reason and my why is I'm an survivor of occupational breast cancer. I feel like I have a little bit of a perspective and a passion that I bring to the table that maybe others don't necessarily have because of that. But you're gonna have to find your own reason and your own why, and it's gonna have to be good. And you're gonna have to remember in those moments why you're doing what you're doing and who you're doing it for. And your brothers and sisters in your department that you've lost to cancer, I can't think of a better reason. The other thing that Sam really stresses is being reliable and consistent. He will tell you, and I can tell you as well as being part of the state face team, that he has a meeting every month. Doesn't matter, it always happens. You have to be consistent, and he'll tell you that. Now, Sam hasn't necessarily been on that meeting every single time. I can only think of a handful, maybe 3 times that he's even missed, but the show goes on and we still have the meeting regardless. So you're gonna have to be consistent. In Jacksonville, we meet the 3rd Wednesday of every month at 9:30, that's our time. And it's always the same, we try to not change it at all. So as consistent as you can be, show up and have the meeting. Even if only 1 or 2 people show up and have the meeting, do it every time. And the more consistency you have and the more consistent and reliable you are, the more people will start to attend. The other thing is you want to be sustainable. So not only do you want a program or a face team that addresses the current needs of your department, it's going to have to be able to where it can be adaptable to future needs. You also don't want to grow too big too quickly. You want to start off with smaller, more feasible, more attainable goals, and then move forward from there. And that kind of helps with that sustainability. Be a resource within your department. You guys are going and attending these conferences. Take that information back and use that as an educational resource within your own department, probably like most of you are doing already. And then network. Sam is the king of networking. If you've met him, you know this. He's great at doing this. And to the point that our state face team and even representative of our own department face teams, we've gone to meet with people in industry to discuss things. So the most recent trip we made was MSA and Globe in Cranberry, Pennsylvania. And we sat down with them and addressed the fire helmets and the soft goods inside the helmets and why are they so dang hard to get in and out and decon. And can we make this better and can we make it easier? And they listen. Industry listens to us. So network as much as you can. Things like this are a great way to network. They told this story yesterday. Sam relentlessly pursued University of Miami and said, hey, we wanted the Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. We want to get you guys involved in what we're seeing with these incidences of cancer. And so in 2014, Sylvester Cancer Center got involved and some of the work that's come out of that. And one of the pictures you see on here, he talked about visibility on the last slide. They're on the table back there. We wear them at all our face team meetings and everywhere we go. This is just another way to be visible. Get something like this. It can be specific to your department. It can be a shirt, whatever it is, to be visible. Okay, I'm going to move into mine with Jacksonville Fire Department. Our face team, in full disclosure, I was not the founding member of our face team. Our face team was founded in 2017 by then Chief Kurt Wilson. He had gone to help set up the collaborative, the Florida Firefighter Safety and Health Collaborative. He brought, in 2016, he brought that vision back to Jacksonville, and he said, I want something like that within our own department. So he created it and appointed then Chief Trevor Nelson to head up the FACE team. Chief Nelson had written a really good thesis for, I believe, his master's degree that was actually published in fire engineering regarding exposure to carcinogens. And so he seemed like a good fit for that role. Unfortunately, within a year of his taking that role, he retired. So for a year, he was at the helm, and then he asked me to step up and be the director of our FACE team. So I've been doing that since 2018. We were able to grow since I've taken over from 15 members when I first took over to 45 members. So we've almost tripled our roster of our FACE team, and we've been able to do some really good things. Most of the time, I have my crew with me at these symposiums. Unfortunately, this year, they weren't able to travel with me due to our department's restrictions. This is the core of my team. You've probably seen this if you've been to some of the other symposiums. This is my group. But what we've done is similar to kind of what Sam did. We've appointed liaisons. So in Jacksonville, it's kind of an odd situation because we have what I call all these arms of health and safety. So we have the Wellness and Fitness Initiative, we have a Health and Safety Committee, we have our Health and Safety Officer, we have peer support, we have our chaplain, we have the FACE team, and all these arms seem to operate independently of one body, and I don't know why that is. It makes me want to beat my head against the wall most days. I'm trying to get it fixed so we can all come under one umbrella, because that makes sense, but in the meantime, we don't communicate with each other a lot of times. So what I've done is I've recognized that problem, kind of like what Sam did on my FACE team, and I've pulled people from those various arms to be part of my FACE team, and I've made them my liaisons. So now when we have a FACE team, I've got somebody from our Health and Safety Committee in our meetings who's telling me what's happening in the Health and Safety Committee meetings, because I'm not part of the Health and Safety Committee, so I don't go to those meetings. And it kind of helps prevent a little bit of duplication of effort, and it kind of helps us all work together a little better. So some of the things that we've done within our department as a FACE team, some of our contributions is we made a department specific. We helped write our department specific gross decon SOG. We also created a training video that's specific to our JFRD gross decon SOG. One of the things that I'm really proud of that we did, and it was a super easy thing to do, literally we took the idea to Chief Wilson, and within I think 2 weeks he had a policy out called W4 or Code Delta. And basically what that means is if you're an in-service company, my fire engine, I go to a structure fire. When I clear that call, if I've been contaminated, I can go Code Delta when I leave the call, and what that effectively does is puts me out of service for about 45 minutes. I can take longer if I need to, so that I can go back to the station and decon our equipment, decon our personnel, change into our second sets of gear, and everything we need to do to clean up. Now, because I'm out of service, I still monitor the radio. Obviously, if there's a serious call in our district, I will respond to it, but it gives them the option of being able to get back, shower within the hour, decon the equipment, and decon themselves. We took a hit off of the Firefighter Cancer Support Network, and we took those No Gear Beyond Here signs, and we made up our own plastic signs that we attached to every entry point from the apparatus bay into the fire station. That basically reminds our folks not to take gear into the fire station, into the living quarters. We have currently now second sets of gear for every member of our department. The only exception to this is helmets at this point, and we actually just ordered another set of helmets, so everybody's gonna have a complete, including boots and helmets, gloves, hoods, second set of gear. We also have a department newsletter, and our FACE team has done a couple of contributions into the department newsletter. This is the first one that we did. This is a very well-written article. I say that because I wrote it. It's a joke. But it kind of just told everybody in our department that reads our newsletter who we are, what we do, and we got good response. Some other things, diesel exhaust extractors in every station. That was one of Chief Wilson's goals before he retired, was to get extractors in every single station, and he managed to do that. I actually do our own cancer awareness and prevention training. So I have about an hour 20-minute presentation, including videos and a lot of stuff that we've gleaned from these symposiums and information. and I give that in our department. When we first brought out our gross decon SOG and our training video, we actually physically went around to almost every fire station, grouped guys together, brought them in from outside stations, brought them in together, and we gave this cancer prevention training and awareness on top of our showing our gross decon video for our department. We gave that presentation, I counted about 54 times in the matter of 4 or 5 weeks. I said it a lot. I can say it backwards and forwards and upside down at this point. I know it really well. We also give that same presentation to our recruit classes. So when we hire a new recruit class, they always ask me to come in and give that presentation. We also do it for our company officer classes. So if you're a newly promoted officer or you're fixing to be promoted, they send you through this class and I give that presentation. And I've even pretty regularly gone to some of our surrounding fire departments and given the presentation to them in their recruit classes as well. So the word is getting out, and it's important to do that within your own department as well. And then once that grows, you can do similar to what we've done and branch out to some of your surrounding departments that maybe don't have the opportunity to do those sort of things. The two biggest and newest things that I'm really proud of that we've done as a FACE team is a partnership with one of our local main cancer hospitals there in Jacksonville. We essentially went to them with a proposal. I didn't even put anything together or a pamphlet or anything. They asked us what we wanted to see. I think I drew something out with stick figures, and they took it and knocked it out of the park. And what I told them was I wanted concierge level service for our firefighters facing cancer, similar to what they have down here. We always pushed our firefighters to come down here and seek treatment because it's the best, but a lot of our guys and gals don't want to drive 5 hours to Miami to get treatment when they're going through cancer. So what we've done is we've created a partnership up there, and our firefighters have somewhere to go. And we told them we want concierge level. We were very specific about that. And so, again, they knocked it out of the park, and we've had a few firefighters treated there now, and they've raved about it. They say it's great, and they do. They really roll out the red carpet. They assign them a nurse navigator. They're with them throughout the process, and our department's included in the process as well. So we're pretty proud of that accomplishment. And then the upcoming accomplishment that we're fixing to roll out is our PFAS-free foams. So we're currently about to replace our entire department's stockade of foam with PFAS-free foam. We are in a race with Orlando right now to be the first fire department in Florida to have all PFAS-free foam. So I'm pretty proud of that. We've gone through some rigorous testing. I'm not even going to get into it because I don't understand most of it. I'm not a hazmat guru. But suffice it to say, they've put it through the works, and what we're getting is going to be good stuff. So that's all I have with JFRD. I'm going to turn it over to Rick Hartzog with Lakeland.
Good evening, everybody. Most everybody here firefighters? Yeah. So I promise you one thing. Those 7 beers that you've been saving up for tonight are going to be that much better when you get out of here in a little bit. I promise you. Okay, I'm going to just hit some broad brush strokes with some things. I'm not going to duplicate some of the things that have already been said, and I'll move through as quickly as I can and talk about how to start a FACE team and how Lakeland did it. So with Lakeland, it was important for us when we decided we were going to start a FACE team that we needed to gain buy-in and support from our organization. And that starts with the fire chief. So all you fire chiefs out there, remember that if you're not completely bought in, it's not going to work. It's going to fail. Your firefighters won't buy into it. So they need to see the chief be passionate about it. They need to feel that from him or her, and that will help them get engaged and want to get on board. We knew we needed to communicate the vision of where we were and where we wanted to go to our organization, our firefighters. We felt like the best way for us to do that was to sit down kneecap to kneecap, face to face, and communicate where we were, where we wanted to go. We didn't quite understand how we were going to get there, but we were going to get there, and that created a lot of buy-in. Now, there's still some firefighters that have the bravado of the dirty helmets and the dirty gear, and they want to give that stuff up, and cancer's not really that big of a deal, and I'll talk a little bit more about how we got over that hump in a minute. You need to, when you form your FACE team, you need to select passionate people that'll participate, and that starts with your FACE team coordinator. Without a FACE team coordinator with leadership skills, ability to motivate, inspire, hold people accountable, delegate, get out of their way, if you don't have that person in place, it's not going to work. It's going to fail. And then once you put that person in place, you want to select a good cross-section of your organization. All ranks, all divisions. You don't want any blind spots. You want to make sure that you're adopting best practices from everywhere in your organization. And you want to make sure that everybody feels like they're included and they're part of what is happening in the movement going forward. And then something else that was really, really important to Lakeland was we wanted to make sure that we had the union support of what we were doing. I don't know how it is in other fire departments out there, but our union president has as much influence as the fire chief does. So we wanted to make sure that we were unified with those two folks. Unions sometimes can accomplish things that the fire chief and the FACE team can't. An example for Lakeland was we wanted to bring LifeScan to our organization, but our city manager said, I don't really think you guys need that. That's not that important. You're not going to have it. So we rolled up our sleeves and we partnered up with our union, went to contract negotiations. They made it their top priority, and they got accomplished what we could not. So that relationship with your union is incredibly important. Now, this next slide addresses some of those folks that are hard to come on board, that are a little bit stubborn. We wanted to find a creative way to reach them. So we reached out to some firefighters in our organization that have experienced and battled and conquered cancer. We asked for them to give testimonial. We put it on posters and we put it in our fire stations. We made it personal, and we called it a Make It Personal campaign. And that is what got most everybody on board. You need to get educated and develop a plan of action. We did it by reaching out to, first we reached out to the collaborative. We wanted to know what they were doing. How do we get started? We didn't know how to gain some traction with our team. They gave us a lot of great information, education, gave us some great contacts of other organizations that were already doing it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's the information on how to build a FACE team is out there. It's just getting the information, adopting best practices, avoiding pitfalls, and then making it your own for your organization on what works best for you. You then need to create your goals and objectives for your organization and prioritize those: immediate, delayed, important, urgent, put them in the proper quadrants, and then try to get some easy wins for your organization. That's really, really important. Start off by maybe some policy change. One thing we've done really quick with green buckets and deconning. I've heard Julius Howes, he's sitting over there. I don't think in the last 3.5 years he's ever spoke without talking about those green buckets. But it's an easy adoption of cultural change with your organization. And it serves as a great motivator, and it shows the FACE team and the organization that you're committed to cultural change. But then you have to develop a plan for your long-range goals that may be beyond your reach, could be for financial reasons or whatever. A great example for us is our Clean Cab initiative. Well, it takes 15 years to go through all of our apparatus in the replacement cycle, so we're not going to do that in a year. But we are on our third apparatus right now, and we're on our way. But it's important that you maintain that focus and that commitment to those long-range goals and stay the course. I'm going to get a little bit outside of the FACE team here, but I want to talk about something that is incredibly important and has been important to at least the Lakeland Fire Department. Your FACE team, they have their goals and objectives, but it's the fire department leadership's responsibility to foster and cultivate the relationships of key stakeholders outside of the organization that benefit the FACE team. City management team needs to be educated and informed as to why these things we're pursuing are so important. Our finance director was incredibly key, has a lot of influence and a lot of power in the city, and we wanted to, from a safety perspective, get him on board so that we would have those funding mechanisms that we needed to accomplish goals outside of our operational budget. We wanted to make sure we had risk management on board. Risk management is in the business of reducing or eliminating risk. We convinced them that spending a little money today with various initiatives will save a ton of money tomorrow. And that was something that we drove home when we got them on board. Human resources, they're advocates for the employees. They're not necessarily a barrier, but you want them to be able to champion your cause as you move forward. And then there's the citizens. We have a great social media outreach with the city of Lakeland. We want to make sure they're educated and informed so that when they look at us and they understand why we're pursuing these initiatives that sometimes are tied to funding, they know that if we take good care of our firefighters, the firefighters are going to take good care of them. I say all this to say, why is this important to the FACE team? The FACE team, first of all, fire chief and executive team, stay out of their sandbox. Let them do their job. Let them go forward and do good things. But we have our own job to do. And that is, if we cultivate these relationships and gain the support and buy-in from these other stakeholders, it's easier for the FACE team to achieve their goals, especially the long range and the more difficult ones that are very costly. It then motivates them, puts gas in their tank, recharges their batteries, and it'll give them the energy and the motivation to carry the torch forward. So I'm just going to leave with, this is just a photo of when we introduced our first clean cab apparatus about 2.5 years ago to our organization. And there's a few folks, and there was many more people there, a cross-section of the FACE team, union support, fire chief, firefighters, mayor, commissioners, city manager, risk management, other departments, and the community celebrating a milestone achievement. And for the FACE team to witness that there, it really meant a lot to them, and it really hit home that all the heavy lifting they're doing and the hard work that they're doing is worthwhile, and that they can carry the torch a little bit longer. So I'll just say this, Chief Riley, I know you're out there somewhere. First time in 31 years I'm retired, I get to wear this uniform with a beard. I feel like I'm getting away with something. Chief Hargrove.
Okay, well, I bring a little different perspective on this. I come from the great state of Ohio. Unlike my partners up here, I'm from a little department. So Glendale, Ohio is a community of bounding 2,155 people. I'm the only paid person on the job, and I have 60 volunteers with me. So my budgets are quite a bit different from everybody else, but Sheryl talked about your why and why you do this. In 2016, I had one of my firemen, one of my captains come to me and one afternoon, and he had his wife with him, and he said, hey, we need to talk. You could tell by the look on the faces that this was not going to be a pleasant conversation. You know, then we walked into my office, sat down, and he described that he had been diagnosed with kidney cancer. This particular captain, I had worked with his father on a volunteer department before this particular fire department, and Tim Burns is his name. Tim was one of my explorers when he was 14 years old. So he's more than just another one of my guys. It was really personal to me. Tim lost his life the following year, and that's my why. So just to follow that through, I now have a son and 2 grandsons that are in the fire service, and I figure I'm going to do a better job for them than what was provided for me when I started 46 years ago. So that's my why. What does it take for me as a fire chief? I probably have a little more flexibility because it's my ship. I'll run my ship the way that I feel. I'm determined. You know, don't tell me no. You know, I can't take my seats out of the cab of my truck. Sure I can. It's going to get somebody to pay for it. So I did. I lobbied with my village council and mayor, and they saw the benefit in doing that, and we did it. Understand that people on my department some people weren't particularly happy with that idea. Again, fire chief, 51% of the vote, so okay, I'll do that. You know, realizing you have to have the resiliency. Yeah, you're gonna get kicked in the teeth, you're gonna get stabbed in the back, you're gonna get laughed at, chuckled at, whatever the case may be. Again, 46 years in the fire service, I really don't care. I'm gonna do what I think is right, and I'm gonna do what's best for my people. It's kind of funny that we're one of the smallest departments in my county of 44 departments, City of Cincinnati being the largest. But after we started in little old Glendale, well, then I had another department near me that wanted to get information, and then another department wanted to get information. We're very fortunate in our county. We use automatic aid, so when I get a fire, I have 7 different departments come to me, and vice versa, we go to everybody else. But they all understand that when they see my fire trucks are black too, which is totally another story. When they see the black trucks on the scene and they see that I'm there, they know that we're going to decon. There's no question. There's no arguing. It has taken a time where I've had to grab somebody by the SCBA strap and say, you know, come here, we're going to talk. Neighboring department. You know, I've got young explorers here that are trying to learn the job, and you want to go and explain to this 18-year-old why you can't, why it's not important for you to decon? No, so he goes to decon. So it takes that continual pushing and fighting. You know, the collaboration, shortly after Tim let me know of his cancer issue, I happened to be just in Wisconsin, and I attended a meeting where the Coral Springs Fire Department was doing a class on clean cab. So that's how I got involved. Chief Babinek at the time, Chris Bader, I made contact with them, convinced them to come to Ohio and do some training. So we trained a group the first time of about 85 people. And we had people from all over Southwest Ohio. But I built off of that. And with Sam's help and being able to build a FACE team within our department, ultimately we pushed it out to the county. Now we're kind of in the whole southwest corner of Ohio. So it's just, you can see it spreading. You know, there are times when we talked about having, you know, you're going to have these meetings where you have 2 or 3 people show up, and we've been there, but not anymore. You know, now we're getting more people. We're getting better quality instructors. Dr. Caban has given talks via Zoom, so Zoom's been a good thing for us. But using that collaboration and using their experience was really a big part of it. Key players in all ranks. It's not just the chief. I wish I could take the credit for the whole thing, but it's everybody. I mean, from the young kids coming on to the captains and lieutenants and whatever the case may be, you've got to get people that are going to be leading from within. So when you get those people involved, it makes it easier. Sheryl talked about taking the small steps and the little wins. Those are the big ones. We want to be a resource to our people, just like the group here in Florida is. So what can we do to provide for anybody that needs information, that needs connections? We try to build a network. What success can we get out of this? It's helping somebody. You know, when somebody gets a diagnosis of cancer, you know, if I get the call, then I'm going to make the call to somebody else to help. That's all we want to do is be there to help everybody. Leadership and challenge. Everybody who's here is looking to do the same thing. We're all here to make this better. I could give you more detailed information about PFAS than I ever thought I would have to learn in my life. Unfortunately, I'm a part of that. That's something that we're going to get better. We're going to make that better. Talked about building relationships with our team, using the teams around us, and I know through I try to be on the Florida meetings every month, and you talked with Jeff from California and Matt from Missouri and the people from all over the country, and it's refreshing to sit into those and gain the information and knowledge from all the people, and along with some of the great trainings that they provide. So with that, you want to do this part, Sheryl? Just in closing, the state and national team. So currently, the team nationwide is up to 26 different states, okay? The picture you see there and the ones that are in red were the initial departments that were part of the phase team, and there are 55 departments in Florida. So at the meetings, we get 30 or 40 people pretty regularly. We talked a little bit about the monthly meeting. I don't remember the days that is. It comes up on my phone. This Thursday? Okay. Second Thursday. All right.
I should know that.
I should, but it comes on my phone. That's it. We're glad to take any questions, anything that we've been able to do. You know, like I said, we take small steps in what we've done, so the clean cab is a part of it. We were able to get our Bureau of Workmen's Compensation in Ohio to pay for gear extractors for departments, particulate hoods, and washable gloves. So one good thing we got from our state. So, all right.
That was amazing. Thank you for being a resource to all firefighters. So if you're listening online, superstars, reach out to them. Some of them are here in the audience as well. How you start your own FACE team. They know the tricks, what to say, what to do, or find the right resource for you to make that happen. Questions for any of our panelists, from those in the room or online? Okay, thank you so much, everyone.